All right, welcome out everybody. At Southwest Airlines, we love on-time departures and especially early arrivals. So that would be our goal today before 4 to get through everything that Tony will be sharing with you. When I heard that Tony Brigmon was going to be here today for the PIP annual conference, a breakout session, I had to be here for the introduction. There are two reasons for that. Number one, I'm one of Tony's biggest fans. I love watching him do what he does. And second, he's my best friend. So I can say some things about Tony Brigmon that he would hesitate to tell you directly. It's time to sit back, relax, and ready for a session that is going to be completely different, interactive, and fun. Tony began his speaking career as the ambassador of fun for the highly successful Southwest Airlines. Since that time, he's delivered a little over 2,000 of these presentations nationally and a handful of international presentations. His specialty, as you're about to discover, is interactive fun and also storytelling. And all that's about, it's all about positivity, best practices. Tony will come up from my left. He'll start waving at you. When you see the guy waving, that would be Tony. Speaking on the phenomenal communication, please help me welcome the ambassador of fun. Here's Tony. Hello. My name is Tony. Say hi, Tony. Hi, Tony. And let me tell you, it doesn't get any better than being introduced by your biggest fan and your best friend. Would you please turn to the person next to you, shake their hand, and say, I feel reasonably good about being here right now. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Two of my sons are engineers, so you've got to earn the right with those two boys. So everyone point your finger at me and say, see that guy? Yep, see that guy. His name is Tony. Tony spelled backward is why not? Tony spelled backward is why not? So why not sit back, relax, and let's take you through phenomenal communication. When I'm done today, anyone, if you use what you're about to learn and you're going to get a chance to try it on right here, they will find you to be irresistibly attractive in your communication with them, because it will be all about them, and when that happens, it is irresistibly attractive. Now, we're going to be on a pretty short trip. It's going to seem short because when we're having interactive fun together, as you'll see, the time really will fly. I've got a timer here to making sure that we have an on-time arrival. So we're going to be good on that and try to honor and respect that for other things that will be happening here at this conference. Now, back in the day, first of all, let me just define fun so we don't get too nervous about that. Last year, I was about to do a presentation for a national title company, and they had a client out at Texas Ranger Stadium. And this client had an office overlooking the stadium, and this client wanted me to personalize some messages at the conference just for this particular CEO. So when I went out there, he had a small committee around the conference table overlooking the ball field. It was awesome. And I was describing the power of fun to get more done, bring out the best in everyone, when he said, you know, I don't think anyone around here would describe me as a fun person. I'm a very serious person. And immediately I said, well, sir, I have evidence to the contrary. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, when I first arrived, I heard you describe to this gentleman over here a family vacation you were looking forward to. Studies show that when you share something you're looking forward to, it puts your brain in a state of positive compared to negative, neutral, or stress. That's how I define fun. When your brain is in a state of positive, actually, studies show you're 31% more productive, you're 37% more persuasive in your communications. Even doctors, and I have a son-in-law that's a physician, even doctors are 19% faster and more accurate on their diagnosis when their brains are in a state of positive. So at our culture at Southwest Airlines, we begin to take fun very seriously when we noticed the serious results we got when we did that. And because of all the different personalities, from analytical to outgoing, we had to assure them that fun could fit every personality, and you're about to discover that here today. So I was out doing a PR presentation for Southwest Airlines as their ambassador of fun, and the Southwest was experimenting with training, with old school training, using a lot of constructive criticism, and the employees found out that it wasn't very constructive and it was not a lot of fun. So the CEO said, Tony, go out there and see what's going on, see what you can do. And I went out and saw immediately their eyes would glaze over. They were showing a lot of death by PowerPoint bullets, and I said, no, let's look at what everyone else is doing and then don't do that. So let's have some fun together. And so we had some fun together, okay. And I would share some corporate friendly humor with them. That's the only way to go. And then we'd have some interactive fun together. And then we would share our stories. And the criteria for a story, it had to have a point, it had to have a best practice, and it would be nice if it had an invitation to action, to do something. So out of this format that we found that would enliven all of our meetings came the 3 E's. Repeat after me. Energize, engage, enrich. Energize is all about music and song. It's something that you want to do to put your brain in a state of positive so you can handle all of the negatives that show up on all of our plates. So music and song was a great way to do it. And the way I discovered that was back in way back in the day. I walked into our meeting room. We had 3 original cities. I'll give you a hint. We're in one of the 3 original cities, the Southwest Fluid. Who can name the other 2?
Dallas and San Antonio.
San Antonio and Dallas. Absolutely right. Austin came on shortly after that, but those were the original 3. And these 3 employee groups were coming in from these 3 different cities. They didn't know one another. You could hear crickets in the room. And of course, as the ambassador fund, that's just not acceptable. So we got to get some energy in that room. So I walked over to this jam box, and it was a fancy jam box. It was a 2-cassetter. Oh yeah. I tell the millennials, you can Google cassette. Yeah. And there was something in the cassette player, and I said, well, I've got to check this out. So I pushed the play button, and on comes this song. If you've been around the block a lot, you'll probably recognize it. When you do, call it out for me. See if the guys in the band are ready. I think so. Here we go. Volume up. In the mood. Perfect. So I'm noticing the employees are walking in. They're hearing the music. Then next thing you know, they're starting to walk with a little rhythm, doing some little well-dated moves. Yeah. And what we noticed immediately was that the energy in the room began to go up. The stress in the room began to calm down. And then when our first technical presenter had finished his part of the presentation, he walks over and he says, Tony, what a receptive group we've got here today. And I did note to self, have music playing when people walk into any kind of employee development customer care session. So when you walked in today, we had some music playing. I've tested a lot of music over the years. This particular group won the sing-off 2 years ago. It was called Home Free. And I found that all the different generations, they relate to it, they like it. So I use that as intro music when people are coming to our sessions. And when there's time, I use music as outro music as well to extend the energy into the rest of the days. Does that make sense? Say, yeah. Yes. Okay, so we've got music and song. And of course, we've got corporate-friendly humor. There's all kinds of that. You can Google that, G-rated humor, and you share each item off that list. By the time you get around the table, everyone reading one of those, the energy goes up, stress comes down, and then when you get ready to deal with those tough situations, you got energy and all kinds of creativity. So letter E, energize. The next letter E would be engage. That's all about interactive fun. So I started out in reservations. We had over 300 agents in the room at any given time. We had to average 200 phone calls a day using the old Bunker Ramo computers, only one finger at a time. So you had to, one finger, all of their information in, and you had to average 200 phone calls to make it with Southwest. And it was my first week on the job, and my wife was counting on me to kind of hang in there, you know, and do this. So I noticed when we got on the break, everyone was stressed out. And because of my fun nature, that wasn't acceptable. So I stood up and I said, you all know him, we all love him. Can't get enough of him. Here he is, Southwest Airlines Goodwill Ambassador. Here's Tony. They started clapping, and we started having a little fun together. And a little more on that later, because having fun with them launched 2 awkward impressions. And it's the awkward impressions that actually end up inspiring you as to great things to do to bring things about. More about that later. But I did this, and we got back to the phone calls. We noticed we were energized, we were creative. In fact, when I got back to the phone, it was the first day we opened Lubbock, Texas. It was a call from a guy. He says, do you ship sheep? I could not let that go. I said, sir, I've got some bad news for you. We don't ship sheep. But he laughed, I laughed, the people around me laughed, and oh my goodness, what an impact that had on our productivity. There was a time we had a flight leaving at 11 in the morning out of Austin, headed to San Francisco. American had a flight leaving at 11 in the morning, headed out to San Francisco. We stopped 3 times. They stopped once. We beat them there by 30 minutes. They had 8 ramp agents taking the bags on and off their flights. We had 4. Translation, it's hard to compete with people who have a sense of humor. And it's really hard to compete with people who truly believe someone cares about them. And all of that is possible. And today my goal is to share with you several ways you can actually pull that off with people using these positivity best practices. Energize. Engage. Now let's do a little engage best practice. This is called hand math. So as engineers, you should be right on this. 2 of my sons are good at math. I'm not. Their engineering skill set did not come from Dad. It came from Mom. She's very analytical and spot on when it comes to details. So I just need a hand math partner. Would you be my partner? Just sit in your chair. Raise up. No, just sit in your chair right where you are. Raise up one hand. My name's Tony, and you are?
Randy.
Okay, Randy, I want to make sure you had on the right tag. Yeah. Okay, so you're good. Randy and Tony. It's called hand math. So we're going to go 1, 2, and on the count of 3, you hold up from 1 to 5 options. Let's say you're holding up 3 fingers this time. Hold up 3 fingers for me. Good. Let's say I choose to hold up 5. My challenge is to see what Randy's holding up added to what I know I'm holding up, beat him to the answer. 3 plus 5. If I yell out the answer 8, I would win this friendly competition. Randy, we're going to go live, and I need to warn you, I'm a high school graduate. I'm pretty good at this. Ready? 1, 2, add. Boom. He holds up 3. I held up 5. Again, it was 8. Turn to the person next to you. Raise your hand up, everybody, for a little friendly PIP, hand math competition. Face your partner. Hands up. You'll be my partner. Ready? Okay. 1, 2, add. 7. Okay. Hands up. Face your partner. 1, 2, add. 8. Very good. Hands up. Face your partner. 1, 2, add. 4. Very good. Now, this time, I might say add. I might say subtract. I might say multiply. Hands up, face your partner. 1, 2, subtract. 4. Hands up, face your partner. 1, 2, multiply. 25. One more. And one more, listen carefully. 1, 2, divide. No calculators. Within moments, we were having so much fun. What we noticed, the energy in the room began to go up, the stress began to calm down, and we could return to our calls with energy, with creativity, and what became known as our legendary Southwest Airlines sense of humor. People ask us, do you train people how to do those crazy things? I said, no, absolutely not. These are people we all knew in school who just can color outside the box and get away with it. One of them would be Carol, right here in Houston Hobby. Carol, you could send her into a riot, and it wouldn't be long. She'd have them all having so much fun. They wouldn't want to ride anymore. They just want to have fun. One night, here comes a big guy. She's working the gate where you get your boarding passes. He's running, he's huffing, he's puffing. He thinks he's late for his flight. He rushes up to the counter, and he says, look, lady, that time to go to the bathroom. She says, I don't know. I never timed you. He smiles. Runs to the restroom. A few minutes later, he returns. The first thing she says, sir, that took you 3 minutes. If you ever need to know, you're a 3-minute bathroom person. He laughs. He takes his boarding pass. He leaves Houston, Texas. Do you think he'll ever forget Carol Herzog? No way. Energize. Engage. Enrich. Enrich is all about stories. I'm a storyteller. I'm from Louisiana. My older brother was a fisherman. We sat around and tell stories. I grew up as a storyteller. Just coming to this conference was a story. You know, the Uber ride from the airport was a story. There's all kinds of fun things. And if you look at it, there's always a story. There's always something you can learn from it. There's a story told about Ken and Edna. Every year they'd go to the state fair. Every year, Ken would say, Edna, I want to take that helicopter ride. Every year, Edna would say, Ken, I know, but that helicopter ride is $50. And $50 is $50. One year they went to the state fair, and Ken said, Edna, I'm 75 years old. If I don't ride that helicopter, I might never get another chance. Edna says, Ken, I know, but that helicopter ride is $50. And $50 is $50. The pilot overheard the couple and said, folks, I tell you what, I'll take you both out for a ride. If you can stay quiet the entire time, I won't charge you a penny. But if you say one word, it's $50. They agreed, up they went. The pilot immediately did some fancy maneuvers. Not a word. He then went into his daredevil tricks over and over. Not a word was heard. Finally, he landed. He turned to Kenny and he said, well, buddy, I'll tell you what. Tried my best to get you to yell out. You didn't. I'm impressed. Ken said, well, to tell you the truth, I almost said something, but Edna fell out. But you know, $50. Yes, $50. And so it is. Sometimes $50 is more than $50. Sometimes it's priceless. When it finally means you get to do something you're looking forward to, and that, my friends, is a positivity best practice. So let's try that on. Count of three. I invite you to turn to the person next to you. Share something you're looking forward to and why. I'm looking forward to catching a timely Uber trip back to my hobby flight at 6 because the next one was booked up. So I'm fingers crossed on that. But I'm also looking forward to getting home tonight and watching mystery movies with the girl I married up when I married, Miss Charlotte Biagiotti. My knees still buckle when she walked into the room. And we celebrate 49 years in October, proving that opposite can make it. More on that later. So, on the count of three, something I'm looking forward to, and tell them why. 1, 2, 3, begin.
I'm looking forward for my Friday off, and it's been a long week. I'm exhausted, so I want to have that time to just sleep more and spend time with my husband.
Awesome. How long have you been married?
10, 12 years.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Good. He's lucky. He's a lucky guy. And like I said, I'm looking forward to get home and spend time with my wife. We're empty nesters now. So.
Hopefully everything goes well.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap once. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap twice. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap 3 times. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap 4 times. Back in the day, we didn't have microphones. We got a lot of people in the room. We didn't want to have to yell. So we came up with a fun way of getting everyone's attention. By the time we get to 5 claps, everyone would be with us. Question, how many of you just learned something new about the person you were talking to? How many of you actually heard something you have in common with the person you were just talking to? You and I both are looking forward to time with our spouses. Oh, yeah. And so here's how it works. You can bring any kind of team together professionally or personally when you focus on what you have in common. You can tear any kind of team apart personally or professionally when you focus in a negative way on differences. So we've got energized, engaged, enriched. Now, so that you don't have to take notes, I applied long ago, one year, NASA came to do a program with them, and they wanted me to use PowerPoint. And when I tried to do that, it just wasn't natural for me. And so I decided that rather than throw things up on a slide, on our website, we would have some added value for after the conference. So when you go to tonybrigmon.com, B-R-I-G-M-O-N, and click under Phenomenal, it sounds the same as phenomenal, but it's the first 3 letters spell fun. So it's phenomenal. That's how you pronounce it. It's called Phenomenal Energizers. We have all kinds of off-the-wall songs. Back in the day at Southwest Airlines, when Herb Kelleher, the co-founder, found out I could look at things in a fun way and put it to music and song, Howard Putnam was the CEO under him at that time. They advanced me $10,000 to put together fun songs to introduce serious topics in our employee development sessions. I wrote songs with titles like, "You can lock me up in jail, but you can't keep my face from breaking out." That is breaking out into a smile. And that was our little fun reminder to all the employees, hey, it's not what our passengers say or do that upsets us. It's not that, it's what we tell ourselves about that. For example, if someone were being rude or obnoxious to me, I could tell myself, well, they've just escaped from a mental institution. I mean, it's my story, right? And I would think, well, they're going to catch them. They always catch them. put them in a straitjacket in a seclusion room. Next thing you know, I'm feeling compassion for this person who was irritating me a few moments before. It was all based on the story that I would choose to tell myself. So it's called giving people the benefit of the doubt. That's another best practice. I used to have some amazing, when we're in fun, we have positive responses to negativity. On Friday nights back in the day, my wife and I, we had 6 children, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, in that order. We now have 20 grandchildren. Number 21 is on the way in September. It's my personal belief that the movie, The Big Fat Greek Wedding, was based on our family get-togethers. They're crazy and they're loud and they're a lot of fun. But you know what? To be totally transparent, we all have high moods and we all have low moods. And when we're in high moods, we say and do high mood things. When I'm in a high mood, someone cuts me off in traffic, I'm thinking, well, of course they're cutting me off. They're cutter-offers. That's their job. That's their job. But when I'm in a low mood, then I get all negative and it stresses me out, stresses them out, and it's very dangerous, actually. So I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Hey, the wife's having a baby on the way to the hospital. Yeah, of course they're honking, getting through here, cutting off. So it's all about the stories we tell ourselves. So I'm going to take you through an acronym right now, so you don't have to take notes. And this acronym is actually going to be under Phenomenal Energizers on our website. It's all based on the word SMILE. Every one of these consists of a positivity best practice that you can do in 30 seconds or less. Every one of these have now been research-based, proven to put your brain in a state of positive. Okay, so I'm going to say and do something, invite you to say and do what I'm doing afterwards so you can kind of get it into your DNA. Will you do that? Say, yes, I will. Yes, I will. Okay, ready? Let's test it out. Smile and wave. Smile and wave. Very good. You said it and you did it. Make someone's day. Make someone's day. Perfect. It would be great if? It would be great if? What would be great? What would be great? Look for the good. Look for the good. Write it. Write it. Enrich each other. Enrich each other. Share what you learn. Share what you learn. Smile and wave. Now, we all know that we smile when we're happy, right? The studies show that people are happy when they smile, even if they're unconscious of it. Fascinating study done using Far Side cartoons. Group A was tasked with reading the cartoons while holding a pencil between their teeth, teeth only, could not touch their lips. It kind of looked like this. It forced their expression into that of a smile, but they didn't tell them that. Group B was tasked with reading the same cartoons, but they had to hold the pencil with their lips only, could not touch their teeth. It looked like this. Forcing their expression into a frown. Group A not only found the cartoon to be a lot funnier, but the positive energy from doing the exercise lasted for hours after it was over. It carried over into other things. So one day Herb Kelleher walked up to me in the hall and said, Tony, we're having a brainstorming session. We'd like you to come in. I said, well, you know I don't have a brain. He said, well, we know that. But you're crazy, and we need some crazy energy in this room so we can kick around some ideas. We were about 2,000 employees at that time. Today, Southwest is over 34,000 employees. Herb knew that something great was happening, and his challenge, his question was, how do we keep hiring fun people? How do we keep hiring people that really care about other people? So he brought in this consultant, and once she got used to calling him by his first name, Herb, which he insisted on, she said, okay, Herb, what do you want these new people to do that they're not now doing? He said, smile. It's like, you know, you walk up to some people and they look like they've been weaned on a pickle. Yeah, that's how some of these people, they don't realize how they're coming across. And they might not even be feeling bad at all, but they got this look about them. And he'd say, they would get defensive. He'd say, they said, how you doing? They said, yeah, why do you ask? He said, well, when are you going to notify your face? Once it became clear that what we wanted was someone that could just have it, we call it a Mona Lisa smile. Now, you know what? A grin is something that people kind of want to slap. So you don't want to overforce it because that's not natural. But just a natural hint of a smile, it's amazing how it can energize the person in front of you. Smile and wave. Smile and wave. Okay, what I'm going to invite you to do as a positivity best practice is turn to the person next to you, share with them something that made you laugh out loud or made you smile. Well, I'll tell you what. No, share with them, let's do the gratitude one. interesting, you know, there's studies are showing that if you can, every day you do 3 things that you're grateful for, that if you no longer had them, you would miss them. So, and you name 3 things. Well, something I had that I would miss if I no longer had it would be, of course, I'm going to go with my family and children, but after that would be, well, a vibrating watch, because it keeps me on time, and I can't even hear these digital alarms, but I can feel the vibration. So that works for me, so I'm grateful for that because it helps me to be on time. So something that you had that you would miss if you no longer had it, name 3 of those as quickly as you can to your partner. 1, 2, 3, begin. You have it, you would miss it if you no longer had
I'll
it.
miss it. Yeah, it's my car.
Your car? Absolutely.
My phone because keep communication with my family.
Yep.
Yeah, and my book because I cannot live without reading.
Okay, beautiful. And of course, I would miss my digital file. I would miss my family, and I would miss also a car that works,
Oh,
so it gets you to and from the airport.
exactly.
All right, thank you. So you said your car, and you said your book, and what was the third one?
Oh gosh, I forgot.
Yeah,
My car, my book, and my phone.
your phone. Yep. All right. If you hear the sound of my voice, clap once. Sound of my voice, clap twice. Sound of my voice, clap 3 times. My partner said it would be her phone, her car, and her book, of course, after family. So yeah, all of those things. We've got to have a car that works. Studies show that if you can do 3, I like to put them in my Google Calendar, 3 a day, and you do that for 21 days in a row, by that time you've done an amazing thing. Studies show that our brains are actually hardwired to look first for negatives in any situation. We're hardwired for that. You're looking at a picture of 100 people, 99 are smiling, 1 is frowning. Where are your eyes going to go? To the one that's frowning. We're hardwired for that. But all it takes, studies show, is about a half a dozen positives a day. You can literally rewire your brain to look first for positives in any negative situation. We all know people like that. They can walk into a negative situation and say, hey, we don't have a problem, we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity here to do something amazing. Let's figure this out. Actually, we did that at Southwest Airlines. It's called the 10-minute turn. The industry said it's impossible to do that. That means the plane is to the gate, people off, bags off, people on, bags on, pushing away 10 minutes later. They said that can't be done. Well, we asked our employees, how can we do that? Someone said, benchmark Indy 500 pit crews. What do you mean? Well, the car comes into the pit, they hydrate the driver, rotate the tires, clean off the debris. They do it in seconds, and they did it with stopwatches. So as you industrial engineers know, it's all processes. We got out on the runway with our stopwatch. We perfected the 10-minute turn. Back in the 80s, I timed one in 8 minutes in Love Field going to Austin. Yes, there were people standing on our flight when we pushed away from the gate. You've been there.
No. I was going to say I like their idea originally of stampede seating.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're boarding.
It's bored to get on and
None
get
of
going.
that row number. that takes
Yeah, and more on that if I don't get distracted. My goal today is to pause and let you ask some questions. In our experience at Southwest Airlines, there's no such thing as a dumb question. If it popped in your head, somebody else is thinking it, they just don't have the courage to ask it. So I invite you to ask anything that may pop into your head about anything that I've shared with you. I'll be as transparent as I know how to be. If I don't tell you the truth, it's either that I have forgotten the truth or I have found a more entertaining way of presenting it. Yeah, it'll be one or two of those for sure. Okay.
So have you ever heard about the hard landing? The pilot comes on and says, it's not my fault, it's not the plane's fault, it's the asphalt.
Whoa. Bada bing, bada boom.
Courtesy of Southwest Airlines.
Southwest Airlines. All right, smile away. Make someone's day. How do you make someone's day? You find out what they care about and you make a big deal about it. I'll tell you, that happened to me, of all places, in Farmington, New Mexico. Southwest didn't even fly to Farmington. But once I was out doing these civic and service things on behalf of Southwest, we got a call one day from the Chamber of Commerce from Farmington. They said, we'd like to have some fun. I know y'all don't fly here, but would you come? I went to our president, Howard Putnam. I said, Howard, they want me to come out to Farmington. I know we don't fly there. He said, no, we don't, but they'll fly us someday. You go out there and you have fun with these good people. We'll get you there. So I was having breakfast that morning, and it was going to be a luncheon presentation. I looked up. all of a sudden, there he was in a booth with his producer, Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I couldn't believe it. Having raised 6 children, we spent a lot of time with Fred. Having ADD, attention deficit dis, oh, is that a butterfly? Yeah, I could be right smack in the middle of a sentence, go off in a direction, and never come home. Well, Fred Rogers taught me how to change into my sweater, into my sneakers, in an unhurried calmness. I love how he would look out every day at the end of his show as if he were talking to each of our children. He would say, now remember, there is no one quite like you. And oh, I believe that. Children are all so different. And I commented to the restaurant manager, I said, that is Fred Rogers over there. And she said, oh, yes, I know. I said, well, what a positive impact he's had on our family. I told her about it. And she said, well, you should just walk right over there and share that with him. I said, well, he's a celebrity. I wouldn't want to interrupt him or invade his privacy. She said, no, I happen to know Fred Rogers. He's the kind of man who would appreciate it, hearing what you just told me. You get on over there. She gave me a little push. I walked on over. I leaned forward and I said, Mr. Rogers? Yeah, it was awkward. I mean, do you say Fred? Do you say Mr.? I didn't know, but he was so gracious. He said, look, I said, look, you don't know me, but I want to come over and tell you what a positive impact you've had on our family. My wife and I raised 6 children. The moment I said those words, he said, really, what are the names of your children? I said, well, there's Rachel and Nathan, Brianna, Blake, Elizabeth, and Luke. He said, no, I want you to write their names on this napkin for me. Add your wife's name to the list. Print your address over to the side. As I wrote out each name, he asked me questions about them. After I answered all his questions, he looks up in the most sincere manner and he says, you know what? They are lucky to have you as a dad. Quickly, I tried to recover from the shock of having someone focus in that way on me. So I tried to reverse it and put it back on him. I said, thank you, Mr. Rogers. What brings you to Farmington? He said, well, I'm out here to interview a Navajo teacher. She's had a real impact on children. I'm doing a special in the fall. I'd like to include her in it. Then very smoothly, he switches the attention right back to me. What brings you to Farmington? I said, well, I'm like the ambassador of fun for Southwest Airlines. I talk about our positivity culture and fun best practices. He said, really? What else does an ambassador of fun do? He asked me great questions. After I answered his questions, he looks up in the most sincere manner and said, you know what? They're lucky to have you here today. And I walked out of that restaurant singing out loud, it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. I was belting it out. I was not embarrassed because Fred Rogers is a there you are person. In my profession, on some of the larger conferences, at times they've had celebrities. Most of them, in my experience, have not been there you are people. They've been here I am people. And frankly, they were not a lot of fun to be around. Fred Rogers was irresistibly attractive to anyone who interacted with him because the most important person in the room to him was the one in front of him. Herb Kelleher shared that same quality, Howard Putnam as well. It was all about you and your interests. Herb met my wife Charlotte once. 6 months later says, Tony, how's Charlotte doing? Herb, how do you do that? He said, what? How do you remember people's names? Oh, it's important to me. In my case, I try to carry around a pencil and a pad. I would jot your name down. And but right now I want to give you a positivity best practice that will totally impact your relationship professionally and personally. And all you need to do is use your imagination. I want you to imagine your name flashing on a nameplate. Richard, you'd see Richard on yours. You would see your name on yours, Randy, and I would see Tony. Nameplate is the first thing. Stacked on top of the nameplate is a 2-story white house. What's underneath the 2-story white house? Nameplate. Second floor, left-hand window, a little boy and a little girl, they're waving at you. What's underneath the 2-story white house? Nameplate. Second floor, left-hand window, boy and the girl. Second floor, right-hand window, a dog and a cat. They got their paws around one another, they're big buddies. Not fighting, getting along. Left-hand window, on top of the nameplate, 2-story white house. Coming out of the chimney of the 2-story white house is a dirty old work glove. What color? Dirty. What's in the right-hand window? Dog and the cat. Left-hand window? Boy and the girl. On top of the nameplate? 2-story white house. That dirty work glove is swinging a tennis racket. What's in the left-hand window? Right-hand window. Coming out of the chimney. Swinging A. Last one. Out of the sky comes a Southwest Airlines 737, pushes that tennis racket across the sky. It's crazy, pushing the tennis racket across the sky. All right, what's in the right-hand window? Huh?
Still tailing a dirty glove?
Yeah, but it could be. It could be hanging on to the tail end of that. That's right. So, right-hand window. Coming out of the chimney. Swinging A. And what's taking it up into the air? Okay, here's how it works. And notice this is the order that you do it when you first get started. What's the first thing I ask you to remember? My name's Tony, and you are? Randy. Now, if I had asked Randy first, what's your name? He might have said, what's it to you? And we would have been off to an awkward start. So what I wanted from Randy, I gave to Randy first. My name's Tony, and then he gladly gave me his name. Now he knows. After now, it doesn't matter what order we go in now. So after we've exchanged names, Randy and I have. What's after names?
Two-story white house.
Two-story. Randy, what city were you born in, and what city do you now live in?
Flushing, New York, born.
Flushing, New York?
In Liberty Hill, Texas.
Liberty Hill, Texas. I was born in Campty, Louisiana, to locals, Louisiana to outsiders, and I'm now in Grand Prairie, Texas. We've exchanged home information. After home,
Kids.
family. Everybody can define family differently. So, Randy, tell me about your family.
2 boys and a girl.
Okay, and the names of your boy and your girls?
Randy, Junior, Thomas, and Michelle.
Randy, Junior, Thomas, and Michelle. At this point, I would grab my pencil, my piece of paper, because I now have what he cares about more than anything in this life. That would go in my contact information for Randy. Just like Fred, because what happened 2 weeks later, every member of my family received an 8x10 signed photo from Fred Rogers. At the top of that photo was their name in a short line. The names were all spelled correctly. How did he know how to spell Brianna the way we spell it? B-R-I-A-N-A. How did he know that? He had me write it down. Write your name. There's the trick. There's a best practice. Here, write these names for me. And I was flattered that he would want me to do that. So I gladly did it. Now I armed him with invaluable information. And then he followed that up to show that he cared about me by sending the 8x10 photos and a little line that he had actually remembered about my children. Unbelievable. When Fred Rogers passed away, we felt like we had lost a friend in the neighborhood. Okay, so after family, we go to? Pets. Got any pets at home?
5 dogs.
5 dogs? I'm not going to have you name the dogs, but I know you've got names for them.
Yes.
We had a Brittany Spaniel. It was a low energy day when we got her as a little dog, and we ended up calling her Brittany. Let's just go with Brittany. Yeah. So after pets, we go to?
What do you do for work?
Yeah, we work. So, as if I don't know, what kind of work do you do, Randy?
I'm consultant engineering.
Consulting engineering. What I do, I help meeting planners enliven their events and share positivity, best practices. We've shared work stuff. What's next? Oh, here's the magic. Hobbies. So when you're not doing your work thing, what do you do for fun?
I have a tractor so I can work on my 2 acres of land.
And that's fun. Yeah, that would be fun.
Good break.
He's got a tractor. So anytime I run across a cool tractor, a JPEG, I'm going to send it to him. Man, I just saw this powered tractor. What do you think about that, Randy? And oh, man, he remembered that. I love tractors. Okay, and what I love to do for hobbies, I love looking at words and phrases and seeing where my fun imagination will go. All right, for example, repeat after me. It is what it is till it ain't.
It is what it is till it ain't.
They would if they could, but they can't.
They would if they could, but they can't.
Till they can.
Till they can.
Then they will.
Then they will.
And that's the deal.
And that's the deal.
And then I would break that down if we were in a leadership session. It is what it is. If we make it more than what it is, it's not the truth. If we make it less than what it is, it's not the truth. So we need to make it safe for our employees to tell us how it is so we can deal with the truth. Because once you've got the facts as engineers, you can come up with a process. You just got to get the truth. And you got to make it safe for people to tell you the truth. More on that later. Okay, so we've done work stuff. We've done hobbies. What's the last one?
You like traveling?
Traveling. You could be anywhere in the world, Randy. Time off, no problem. Money, no problem. Where would you be? What would you be doing and without your tractor? Or would you can do the tractor if you want to.
Caribbean,
Caribbean, and you would be?
St. Martin's.
St. Martin's, and what will you be doing there?
On the beach with my wife
On
and our family.
Well, wife and family, awesome. I would be walking from the icebox to the couch with some double stuffed Oreos, trying to beat my wife for the first time in 49 years of who's the bad guy or the bad girl in a mystery movie. I can't beat her. She beats me every time. She has a sixth sense. I said, how did I get past you? She said, I was having a bad day when I met you. You got by my radar, baby, you bad boy. She calls me her Louisiana swamp mess. So I'm still trying to become the man she thought she married 49 years ago in October. Okay, so on the count of three, the first thing you're going to do, go back to your visualization. You're going to exchange names. Then you're going to go to the house, where you born, where you now live, then to family, then to pets, then to work, then to travel, hobbies, then to travel. I had a friend of mine, she said, I went to my husband's high school reunion. You could hear crickets in the room. I remember what you shared with us at that conference, and I started doing it with the people at our table. We started having so much fun, making so much noise. Other tables came over and said, what are y'all doing? We want to have fun too. So I taught it to them. So let's you try it on right now. Go through that with each one. Whoever starts it says, my name is, because you've got to give them what you want first. Ready? 1, 2, 3, begin. Let me take a quick picture. Okay.
So my name is Huda.
I'm Tony.
Huda. Pleasure to meet you. So Tony, okay, so first ask about your kids, right?
Yeah, you're what city were you born in? Oh, and what city do you now live in?
I was born in Slemania, like north of Iraq,
Okay.
overseas, and now I'm living here in Houston.
Awesome. We're so glad that you're here.
Thank
Did
you. I
you-
don't have kids,
Okay.
and we don't have pets. We're
Okay.
kind of weird couple.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
And so, what kind of work do you do?
I'm an electrical engineer.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm department manager.
Okay. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap once. Sound of my voice, clap twice. Sound of my voice, clap 3 times. Sound of my voice, clap 4 times. Let me repeat the questions again. How many of you just learned something new about the person you were just talking to? How many of you heard something you would actually want to add to your contact information about this person for networking purposes in the future? Yeah. And what I found, I've never had a person object to me, I like to remember your name, either having them write the name for me or if they're going to include their family or writing it down. They love it that I would care enough to want to do that. So I invite you to definitely do that. And the way you make someone's day every day, you can do this right in your office. I invite you to consider your first email of the day is where you send an email out to someone praising them for something, like maybe Leslie or Michael for having such a great PIP conference and all the wonderful, not only presentations, but all the networking opportunities you've had here. So you could send out a praise email, it takes about 30 seconds, or you could wish someone well on something coming up, like, hey, I know you got this thing coming up, you're going to try out this new tractor, I hope everything works good for you, man, and that you can do so, get some serious plowing done there, or I would thank them for something, somebody that's done something for me, I would thank them for it. And you'd be amazed. I was, years ago, I was going back to the same hotel in Chicago, and I saw the clerk. I remembered him for 2 years earlier, and I said, you're the same clerk that helped me when I checked in last time. He said, you remember that? I said, yes, I do. Got to my room a little bit later, there was a knock at my door, and someone had brought this tray of chocolates. And the handwritten note said, sir, it's been 2.5 years since anyone's remembered me. Thank you. Just because I remembered him, focused a little bit of attention on him. Fred Rogers became irresistibly attracted to our family. When he passed away, we felt like we had lost a friend in the neighborhood, just from that few little things that he had done. Before I'm done today, I'm going to share with you what I call a phenomenal preview. We're going to fast forward to the end of 2019, where I'm going to share with you what I see for you, and then let you try on how that would feel. And it's called, at Southwest Airlines, Once Upon a Time, our preview is leading into our next thing. So let's just review this. Smile and wave. Smile and wave. Make someone's day. Make someone's day. Let me pause and do that because I wrote it down to do it. Did you know people believe that these conferences kind of come together? They don't. Someone has worked unbelievably hard and are still working behind the scenes. I want to pause for a moment and recognize them, because having done this over 2,000 times, they've made my job easy. Leslie, are you in here? Leslie's not in here. She's out putting out fires as usual, doing her work. Jennifer, Lindsay, Gina, Corey. I'm getting a Corey. Corey, where are you, Corey? There's a Corey girl. Corey's got a smile that will light up this room. Oh my goodness. Michael and Marjorie. Can we give them a 1, 2, 3 power clap? Yes, indeed. Thank you. They make my job so easy. So smile away. Make someone's day. It would be great if? What would be great? I answered that question. It would be great back in 1971 if we became the low-fare, high-care, lots of fun airline. And so we broke it down. Because people will support what they help create, you always take the problems to the frontline people if you're smart, if you're a leader. If you're a boss, you don't do that. I'm going to define the distinction between a boss and a leader in a moment. But a leader takes it to the employees. How can I? How can we? In fact, Dr. Jody Hoffer-Guttel wrote a book, The Southwest Airlines Way. Somehow this lady was so persuasive, she talked American, Continental, and Southwest Airlines into allowing her to go behind the scenes with no managers present, talk to the employees about what it was like to work for that airline. When she got to Southwest, what she was hearing was so different than what she heard from the other two, she decided to do a further research. It ended up as a book, The Southwest Airlines Way. There are 3 things she concluded that make Southwest Airlines different from all the other airlines. Shared goals, shared knowledge, mutual respect. It's open source with Southwest Airlines. How can I? How can we? How can we have low fares? Someone said, well, fly only one kind of plane, 737s. Get the short haul specialist. Lower your overhead, lower your price, and let volume make you money. How many of you have been around long enough to remember the $19 cheap fares from Dallas to Houston? Oh, yeah. Did that get attention? Oh, yeah. So we figured out that, and then to get what we wanted, we did a curious thing. We decided to find out what our passengers wanted, and the curious thing we did was we asked them. They did a curious thing. Guess what they did? They told us. They said, we want low fares, we want on-time performance, and when we get to the other end, we'd like for our bags to be there. So we broke it down. How do you get low fares? I just shared that with you. And how do you get on-time performance? I shared that earlier with the software on-time performance. And the bag part of it was a no-brainer. We decided to look at what everyone else was doing and not do that. So for 5 years in a row, Southwest Airlines won the Triple Crown, which is analogous to winning a Super Bowl 5 years in a row. Least complaints, least lost bags, most on time out of all the carriers. Today, they board more domestic passengers than any of the other airlines. Was that by accident? Nope. No, it was by design, and it was a process. So yeah, her said, yeah, we have a process. It's called doing things. we do things. We don't just talk about it. We actually do things. So while the other airlines were asking themselves under stress, why me? We found a couple of questions that served us better. How can I? How can we? How can I turn this around? How can I be a better boss, be a better leader? One leader actually took that to his employees. In his quarterly interviews, he'd say something like this: have I done anything in the last 90 days that would cause you to want to leave us? Have I done any or said anything in the last 90 days that would cause you to want to stay? Because my commitment to you, I want to do more of the stay things and less of the leave things. But I'm going to need your feedback. I'd appreciate it if you give the feedback one-on-one with me, not out in front of everybody else. But I promise you I want to work on it. Wow, what an impact that would have on employees. You could follow that kind of a leader. If you're leading and no one is following, you're not the leader, you're the loner. So either lead better or follow the one that can lead. Smile and wave. Make someone's day. It would be great if. What would be great? So let's have your best practice. I want you to answer this question and go with the first thing that comes to your mind. What would be great for me, and name something professionally and personally. Now, you already told me about your tractor. That's kind of, it gives you a little sanity break from your work.
Right.
So what would be great? And then you tell them why. Something that would be great for me, if you have something coming up, or if you have, we have out of these 20 grandchildren, there's all kind of things that are coming up for them, and it would be great if these things went well. The ones that are interviewing for jobs. I have 2 engineers. One of them is making the transition from manufacturing, where he was the lead. He was chosen to be to lead the project for Android in Detroit, and he's looking to make a transition. And so it would be great if he found a perfect fit, because he's a super kid. Okay, that would be what would be great for me and my family. 2 things would be great. One is professional, one would be personal, and share why. Ready? 1, 2, 3, begin. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap once. Sound of my voice, clap twice. Sound of my voice, clap 3 times. All right. I invite you to consider asking yourself, when you go to our website, it's actually called the Smile Journal, and it has these positivity best practices. I invite you to look them over. You can actually copy and paste that right into your Google Calendar or Outlook calendars or whatever, and we have those 5 steps. That's called the 5-step version, and I'm taking you through those now, but we also have the Texas 2-step version. The Texas 2-step is what would be great today to start your day, and then it opens the windows of possibility. Well, it would be great if we figured out this process. If we figured out this thing today, somebody came up with an inspiration, that would be great. What you've actually done when you do a what would be great question, you've opened the window of possibility. Then you get impressions. Sometimes the impressions are awkward. Like I was having fun with the employees. I said, man, afterwards, it would be great if I could do this full time for Southwest Airlines. Then I got an awkward impression. Well, you don't know how to write proposals. They're going to write a proposal. That's detailed stuff. So I called up my buddy, Mike Murray, who's great at proposals. I said, Mike, I got this crazy idea about becoming Southwest Airlines Goodwill Ambassador. I think I'm going to need a proposal. Will you help me? He said, absolutely. He says, who's the new president? Howard Putnam. Do you know him? No. Does he know you? No. What do you know about him? I hear he's very intuitive and very blunt. Okay, you've got to catch a guy like that off guard. So what do you mean? Well, let's come up with a question and answer proposal. Anticipate the questions he'll ask you. That'll keep him intrigued, and he won't kick you out of the office right away. I said, I would love that. That would be great. He said, what do you think he'll ask you right off the bat? Why would we want a Goodwill Ambassador? Yes, he will ask you that question. We came up with an answer. He says, what do you think he'll ask you next? How will we pay for this? Yes, he'll want to know the answer to that question, so we came up with that. So third one, what do you think he'll ask you next? What if you're not any good? Yeah, he'll want to know, and frankly, your opinion and feedback won't have a lot of weight. So you're doing programs on your own time right now in the evenings and weekends? I said, yes. Are you getting feedback? No. He said, we got to fix that. Let's come up with a way to get you feedback in less than 60 seconds. How do you do that? So 3 sentence completions. 1, what I like best today about Tony's program was, and they'll put it, the stories, the fun interaction, whatever it was. And then the number 2, what would make it even better would be never ask for constructive criticism. It's never constructive. Really, it's painful. What would make it even better would be more stories, more interactive stuff, and so we get all this feedback. Then the third question was, what's another topic that you would like to see an interactive presentation built around? Safety, leadership, communication. So all those topics you see on our website were actual requests that we had to address those with best practices. So that's why we have them there. So I checked that impression off, had the proposal. I started getting evaluations. I had them in a box in my back seat with my proposal on top of my car. Next impression, 2:30 in the afternoon on a Monday. At this point, a year later, I'm now a supervisor. Apparently, there were 300 people in the room that were smarter than me and more experienced, but fun was winning the day for me because under stress, it was helping me be at my best. And so I was a supervisor, and the overwhelming impression, call Howard Putnam's office right now. Before I realized what I was doing, I had the directory. I called his office. Sherry Phelps, his secretary, answered, and I thought, what can I say? I heard myself say, Sherry, I'm Tony on reservations. Would you tell Howard Putnam, Mr. Putnam, because I hadn't met him yet personally, so he hadn't given me permission to call him by his first name, would you tell Mr. Putnam I'm on the line? Would you tell him I've got the answer and I'm not quite sure about the question? She did what you did. She said, are you serious? I said, I think so. And about that time, and what happened was he had just walked out of his office. He's now next to her. So she's turning to him. She said, Mr. Putnam, one of our employees is on the line. He says he's got the answer. He's not quite sure about the question. He said, really, I'd like to hear the answer. Tell him to drive over to my office today when he gets off his shift. I'll wait for the answer. So I got out into the car, looked in the back seat. There's my box of evaluations. It was my proposal. I walk into his office. I'm in Arlington with a reservation. Walked in his office in Dallas. Sat out in his office. He pulls up a chair almost knee to knee, scared the daylights out of me. And he said, what's the answer? The answer is I have a PR idea whose time has come. He said, what's the question? The question is, will you recognize it? He said, let's hear your proposal. I said, question. I said, I propose to become Southwest Airlines Goodwill Ambassador. His question, why would Southwest want a Goodwill Ambassador? He said, yeah, why would we? I said, well, no one's doing it. The Rotary Club, they own the town. The Kiwanis Club, they manage the town. And the Lion Club, they enjoy the town. Well, all of these people have important roles with their organizations. They make decisions about their conferences. And if I have fun with them, I'll give out, I'll have drawings for rides on our flights, for things, and I'll take the cards back to marketing. The next day they can follow up and say, hey, how did y'all like the program we sponsored for you? They say, oh, it was a lot of fun. He says, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. We were happy to do it. By the way, have you heard of our Rapid Rewards program? You now have got a foot in the door, send them some get acquainted information. And I says, question, how will we pay for this? He said, how would we pay for this? I said, well, if it's any good, eventually someone's going to say, what would you charge to come do this at our conference? I'll charge them a fee, and then I'll give Southwest half of that fee. So once it catches on, I'll be paying my own way. I said, he says, when are you doing one of these presentations? I said, 3 days from now, right down the street, same street, Regal Road, Lynn Paper Company. He says, would you be nervous or afraid if I showed up with 2 vice presidents anonymously? I lied and said no. I was scared to death. But he showed up with the 2 VPs. They sat in the back of the room. He said, you don't identify me. Don't let them know who I am. I said, fine. And I got the evaluation. I was trying to look at one of them. He walked up and snatched them right out of my hand as everybody's leaving the room. He sat down and he read all 30 some odd of those evaluations. Give me 3 days to think about this. 3 days later, he called me and said, here's the deal. We're going to give you a 6-month trial to generate in a measurable way the claims you're making, that you can generate PR. If you're successful, you will become our Goodwill Ambassador. If you're unsuccessful, you will lose your current job as a supervisor. You will start all over with this company, day 1 pay, day 1 seniority. Did I reveal these terms to my wife? No. Her fear would have mobilized me. Later, when it was a done deal and I shared it with her, she goes, oh my goodness, you had all that on the line. I said, Charlotte, and as you all know, anything worthwhile involves a risk. And I had to have all the positivity and faith I could put into that. And so, when you get an impression, sometimes it's an awkward impression, I invite you to act on it. My son, the systems development engineer for Amazon, he decided, like open source and Linux, to open up this problem to the local CSLs out in California, and he got some ideas and impressions from them that are actually solving the problem now. The old way was to have the control systems that figure it all out themselves. He said, why would you want to do that? These are the frontline people dealing with this all the time. He said, hey guys, ladies, we need your help. What do you think? And they threw out some ideas, it gave him some ideas, and it led to the answer. Smiley wave. Make someone's day. It would be great if. What would be great? Look for the good. Write it. I was in the Kroger self-checkout lane when the automated female voice thanked me for being a valued customer. I looked around, no one was there. I decided to go with it and have a little fun. I said, I thanked her for thanking me. And then I complimented her for having such a cheerful voice. I could tell that it caught her off guard because she didn't know what to say. So I went back on social media. I posted this. Oh my goodness, it went crazy. An attorney friend of mine said, I burst out laughing right in the middle of a room. I said, oh my goodness, so, if I share something that made me smile or laugh with somebody else, it might make them do the same.
Right.
And if we all start doing that, we can actually have a positivity culture just like that, by sharing things that made us smile, laugh out loud, or something that really went well. So I was invited to speak to the Texas Medical Auxiliary in Austin. The lady that knew me, like the Leslie counterpart, she couldn't come out because she was like Leslie, she's out there doing things right now. So she sent her assistant, says, go pick up Tony. She says, I've never met him. I don't know what he looks like. She said, well, you're creative, figure it out. So when I came down the escalator, there was a lady down there holding a handwritten sign, a little poster, and it said, are you Tony? So as I walked up to her, she shared with me that she was stepping forward, each guy that came off the escalator, are you Tony? She reported to me that the first 3 guys said no, but that the 4th guy said, I could be. And I was the 5th guy. So based on the research of Lynn Harris, if you're single and you're looking for an interesting way to meet interesting people, you can go out to the airport with your sign. Her study shows that 1 out of 4 people will want to explore possibilities with you. And that the 5th guy will be the real deal. Oh yeah. Smile and wave. Make someone's day. It would be great if. What would be great? Look for the good. Write it. Enrich each other. Share what you learn. We're closing in on the finish line here, so I'm going to pause. I won't do the best practice and look for the good, but basically is think of something that's gone well this week, share it with somebody, and that's a great positive. Like I got in the shower this morning, there was warm water.
It's a good thing.
You can appreciate warm water when you've been in a shower where there was no warm water. So I was grateful that there was warm water in there today, and that when you crank that temperature down around 70, you can, with those heavy blankets that you can sleep with those things. Man, I had a good night's sleep last night. So I'm going to note to self. Okay, so share what you learned. We had a guy move into our neighborhood, macho kind of guy. He watched my wife and I, who's half Italian. Her maiden name was Biagiotti. We have spirited exchanges all the time. I'm from Louisiana, so we have spirited exchanges. And I never prevailed, and I didn't prevail in this one. He witnessed that, and when she went back in the house, apparently that just rubbed him the wrong way. He walked and said, hey, who wears the pants around your house? Who's the boss? You need to let that lady know who's the boss. I smiled, and he walked off. I smiled, went back in the house. A few days later, I'm doing a local presentation. I looked out, and there he was in the audience. And this little fun feeling that's gotten me in so much trouble came over me. I couldn't not go with it, so I went with it. I said, you know, there are those who watch my wife and I interact in a spirited way, and they wonder who wears the pants, who's the boss. They might be interested in knowing that just recently she came to me on hands and knees, that's right. And they might be interested in knowing what she said to me when she came to me on hands and knees. She said, come out from under that bed, you coward, and fight like a man. And so it is. We decided to toss the boss in our relationships. And I decided it led to a great best practice for me. And I wrote it up, and I wanted to share some highlights of it with you. The distinction between a boss and a leader. You think, well, I've had a good boss. Actually, if you had a good boss, it wasn't a boss. She or he, they were a leader. Because let me tell you about bosses, and I've had this experience, unfortunately, too many people. A boss does not listen carefully, so others will share openly and honestly. They don't speak respectfully, therefore people don't listen receptively. They don't problem solve so that everybody wins. It's my way or the highway with them, and therefore the low morale shows up, low productivity shows up, and at that point, basically, the employees have fired the boss. And when that happens, it's only a matter of time before the company makes it official. Herb Kelleher was a master at pointing the finger of recognition at us. We'd hear these interviews with the media. Well, of course, we have the best results. We have the best employees. They can't compete with us. Our people are the best. And we didn't want to let him down. We wanted to be there and to be productive and be positive because we knew he cared about us and he was our model of humor. Oh my goodness. One day I got a call from one of his friends, another CEO, said, Herb, we got a morale problem over here. would you mind coming over, walking around with me, maybe help me figure it out? Herb said, all right. He walks over to get on the elevator with a few employees. They ride up in silence to the top floor. They got off the elevator, and Herb said to his buddy, I already know what the problem is. What's the problem? You. You're the problem. We were just in an elevator with several of your employees. You didn't call any one of them by name. You didn't ask any one of them about anything that was important to them. Had you done that, when you do that, you won't have a morale problem. Remember the things that are important to these people. They'll love you for it. Oh, what a great lesson there. So what I wanted to do today was share with you this preview. It's called a phenomenal preview. It's pronounced like the word phenomenal. And I was thinking, if I were a member of the PIP Association here, and this was what I would see for you. On Wednesday, May 22nd, 2019, Tony Brigmon, the ambassador of FUN, was invited to speak at the 2019 PIP annual conference breakout session at the Houston, Texas West End Hotel. The conference theme was Cognitive Diversity, where experts go to grow. I love it. PIP is all about creating and compiling best practices. In fact, they have over 525 best practices in various engineering disciplines. Everyone not only had a lot of fun during Tony's session, but they also learned how to be irresistibly attractive in their communication with others. They ended up, in 2019, ended up being the best year ever for all who attended the 2019 PIP annual conference. Why? Because they actually went to Tony's site and downloaded the SMILE journal, Communication Best Practices, and they took them home, began to use this at work and use it at home, and found that it really does work in the real world. They ended up having more fun, getting more done, and bringing out the best in everyone. Now the question that begs an answer, will my phenomenal preview for you come true? That part's up to you. I invite you to make it come true. And I would like to give you a feeling of what it would be like if you were celebrating that success. So I'm going to turn back on my little YouTube boom speaker, and I'm going to start a song called Celebration. And when this song starts, see if the guys in the band are ready. Looks like they are ready. I'm going to, that's my little friendly timer saying, hey, bad boy, you got 5 minutes to go. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, you got to hit dismiss. Man, hello, technology. Okay, I'm going to start a song. I'm going to start this song. Yes, indeed. And when I start the song, push your chairs back. I invite you to get as many soft high fives, or handshakes. And you're saying things like, congratulations, we did it. You got a feeling what that would feel like if you were actually celebrating this at the end of the year. And then I want you to notice what impressions begin to come to you. Let's hear the guys in the band. Ready? Let's do it. Push your chairs back, stand up, soft high fives. Thank you, congratulations. Thanks for showing up here today.
Don't forget your phone.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Thanks for being my partner. You're the best. Appreciate it. Hey, Richard. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Glad
Appreciate
to
it.
hear Louisiana's pronounced Louisiana. I was born there. Nobody ever says Louisiana. I always say-
It's Louisiana.
Yeah, I always say that. And I wonder, am I wrong?
I
Because
know.
I've
That's
remembered
right.
it as Louisiana.
That's right.
Yeah.
But, hey, Jenny. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. So as you move quickly back to your seats, I want to remind everybody that we have all kinds of handouts waiting for you. We call them added value at tonybrigmon.com. We have the phenomenal songs. There are 46 of those. The How Can I Miss You If You Won't Go Away, crazy stuff like that, all there. Back in the day, we used to sell those at Southwest until we reimbursed them for the loan they gave to me, and then we decided it'd be more fun to give them away. So a lot of the leaders will play a clip, like How Can I Miss You If You Won't Go Away clip, and then they'll talk about how important it is not to micromanage our employees and that kind of thing. So based on my observation, I think you've earned the right to this proclamation. By the powers vested in me as the original ambassador of FUN, I hereby declare, you're phenomenal. Now go smile and wave, make someone's day. God bless you. Thank you for having me.